Imagine a world where a split-second decision is the difference between survival and catastrophic loss. This is the reality faced by the men and women on the front lines, where technology and training are tested against the relentless ingenuity of the enemy. This is the story of how one U.S. Navy destroyer stared down the abyss and won. At 3:43 a.m. local time, deep within Yemen, a Houthi mobile firing unit ignited a new chapter in naval warfare. Two SMAD-3 drones were launched skyward, not the crude repurposed Timu builds of the past, but a new generation engineered for range, stealth, and above all, surprise. Their target, the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman. The drones split their attack vectors immediately after launch. One banked sharply to the northeast, climbing to 18,000 feet, preparing for a high dive strike. The other adopted a far more insidious tactic, sea skimming. Flying a mere 10 feet above the water's surface at approximately 250 kilometers per hour, it sought to exploit the curvature of the Earth and the limitations of radar. The Truman Strike Group had roughly 30 minutes to react, but both drones possessed features designed to defeat the Navy's defenses. The first to detect the incoming threat wasn't the Truman itself, but one of its escorts positioned 20 miles off the port bow. The USS Gravely. The quiet, almost monotonous atmosphere of the midwatch was shattered as the radar scope revealed two fast-moving contacts. Instantly, the ship and crew moved with practiced precision, initiating a firing solution to protect the Truman. This reaction is governed by a dynamic process known as F2T2EA, find, fix, track, target, engage, and assess. This concept forms the bedrock of Navy air defense strategy. It all begins with the AN/SPY-1 radar. Destroyers are equipped with 3 of these arrays, while cruisers utilize 4. This system provides complete 360-degree coverage from the horizon to the zenith, forming the crucial first step in neutralizing airborne threats. In the find phase, the SPY-1 radar scans out to a range of at least 200 nautical miles, searching for any and all air contacts, missiles, drones, aircraft, even birds or cloud formations. The Aegis Combat System, the integrated suite that incorporates the SPY-1, is simply gathering information. The SMAD-3 drones attempt to circumvent this phase. They either fly as close to the horizon as possible, hiding in the radar clutter, or use their extended range to approach from unexpected angles, high, low, or even from behind US ships. Furthermore, despite a wingspan of 4.5 meters and a length of 2.8 meters, the SMAD-3 boasts a relatively small radar cross-section of just 0.1 square meters, roughly the size of a sheet of copy paper. This reduced signature makes tracking difficult for conventional radars, but the SPY-1 is no conventional radar. It can detect targets as small as a golf ball at over 100 miles away. Thwarted in their attempt to remain hidden, the SMAD-3 drones resort to exploiting the next phase, the fix phase. Now that the SPY-1 radar has identified both hostile drones, it begins to flood them with radio waves at frequencies between 2.5 and 3.7 gigahertz, gathering precise target location data. This data is critical for determining the contact's course, speed, and elevation. The SMAD-3 drones react, subtly altering their flight paths and relying on internal inertial navigation systems. Houthi operators ashore retain the ability to modify the GPS destination within the drone's 250-kilometer range in real time. This capability is particularly valuable against moving targets like ships, where shore-based radar arrays can feed updated position data to the operator, who then relays it to the drone. Despite these advanced tactics, the SPY-1 maintains its lock, pinpointing the drone's exact location and initiating the track phase. During the track phase, the SPY-1 continuously bombards the targets with radar waves, gathering increasingly precise data. This information is fed to powerful supercomputers known as Command and Decision, or C&D. These computers perform millions of calculations per second on over 100 different contacts simultaneously. Even with each drone traveling at 250 kilometers per hour, the Aegis system can process these updates on targets moving faster than the speed of sound. Acquiring a solid track on the 2 drones is almost trivial for the system. With firing control solutions now calculated for both targets, only one stage remains before missiles are launched: weapon selection. This is the targeting phase, where the Tactical Action Officer, or TAO, engages in a high-stakes game of speed dating, seeking the perfect weapon for the specific threat. The TAO could, for example, deploy a highly immediately advance SM-6 missile against the drone, but that would be a wildly disproportionate response, wasting a $4 million missile on a $50,000 target. Instead, with the aid of Aegis, the TAO has mere seconds to determine the optimal weapon for the job. In this case, the choice falls upon the SM-2 missile. This is the workhorse of the Navy's air defense, the go-to weapon for threats of this nature. SM-6s are reserved for advanced targets, SM-3s for ballistic missiles, SM-7s for close aboard threats, anti-submarine rockets for submarines, and Tomahawks for land targets. Even within the SM-2 family, there are different variants: Block 3, 3 Alpha, 3 Bravo, and 3 Charlie. These missiles are physically similar, but possess different seekers and internal software tailored to specific threat types. One variant might be optimized for engaging high-diving threats, while another excels at intercepting sea skimmers close to the water. In those critical seconds, the TAO confirms the weapon selection and enables the fire inhibit switch. Almost instantaneously, the SM-2 missiles erupt from their vertical launch cells, accelerating to approximately 3.5 times the speed of sound, initiating the next phase: engage. As the missiles hurtle toward their targets, the SPY-1RADAR establishes a data link, communicating dozens of times per second. The radar queries the missile's location and the missile responds. Spy-1 then provides course corrections, guiding the missile towards its target. As the SM-2 missiles close within range of the drones, they enter the terminal phase of flight, where the AN/SPG-62 radar arrays become critical. These 7.5 by 7.5 foot arrays are the core component of the Mark 99 fire control system. Spy-1 remains responsible for guiding the missile until the final 60 seconds of flight. At this critical juncture, the illuminators begin to flood each drone with approximately 10 kilowatts of power, pulsing dozens of times per second. These radar waves operate in the 8 to 12 gigahertz range. The SM-2's semi-active seeker is designed to detect and home in on this specific frequency range. It's akin to a moth drawn to a flame, irresistibly drawn to the source. When the SM-2 detects that it is within lethal range of the radar radiation, it detonates its warhead, unleashing approximately 6,000 preformed steel metal fragments at speeds approaching 2,000 meters per second in all directions. This marks the final phase: assess. The first shot was fired by the USS Gravely at precisely 0345 hours. The ship's Mark 41 vertical launch cells opened, and 2 SM-2 missiles streaked toward the Samad 3 drones with the speed of Mach 3.5, fast enough to cover 5 miles every 7 seconds. As the first missile arced upward, its nose locked onto the drone descending from altitude. Attempting a high dive strike, aided by real-time uplinks from the fire control system, the missile made minute course corrections as it approached its target. Then, at just over 16,000 feet, the proximity fuse triggered, detonating the missile's airburst fragmentation warhead 15 meters from the drone. Over 3,000 tungsten cubes ripped through the airframe, disintegrating the hostile drone into scattered pieces. The second missile faced a more complex trajectory. The low-flying SM-AD was hugging the ocean surface, attempting to evade radar detection, but the SPI-1 maintained its lock. As the SM-2 hurtled towards it, the drone abruptly banked to avoid being hit, but it was too late. The SM-2 suddenly dropped altitude and detonated just ahead of the SM-AD's nose cone. Metal fragments shredded the airframe, and what remained cartwheeled into the sea, vanishing beneath the waves. After the SM-2s detonated, SPY-1 continued to assess the debris field, searching for any remaining threat. As long as an object meets the course, speed, and profile of known hostile missiles, drones, or aircraft, Aegis and the crew will continue to regard it as a potential threat. This means the crew will continue launching missiles until the radar scope is completely clear. While the scope may have appeared clear, the sailors of the Truman Strike Group were unaware that this was not the end of the strike. Unbeknownst to them, the Houthis were preparing a new kind of attack, one that didn't rely on aging cruise missiles or repurposed Soviet hardware. This time, they were deploying a new weapon, sometimes referred to as the poor man's cruise missile. To the untrained eye, the Qasef-2K might appear to be a cheap knockoff drone, but its origins weapons are far more sophisticated. It's a loitering munition, often called a one-way drone, and a weapon the Houthis hope will shift the balance of the battle. Based almost entirely on the Iranian-designed design, the Qasef-2K is manufactured from components smuggled into Yemen from Iran, then assembled in country by Houthi forces. At its core, it's a flying explosive payload with wings. Each unit carries up to 30 kilograms of high explosives, designed to detonate just 10 to 20 meters above the ground, or slam directly into a ship's deck, showering everything below with metal fragments across a radius of up to 80 meters. These drones aren't guided by operators with joysticks. They are pre-programmed to fly to GPS coordinates using inertial guidance, meaning they can be launched in swarms without requiring line of sight or real-time control. They simply fly, locate their target, and detonate. Their operational range extends between 100 and 150 kilometers, and with an endurance of 100 minutes and a cruising speed of 250 kilometers per hour, they are more than capable of reaching a US Navy task force operating offshore. Powered by a simple piston engine and capable of reaching altitudes up to 5,000 meters, the Qasef-2K isn't fast or stealthy, but it doesn't need to be. Its strength lies in numbers. Unknown to the strike group, the Houthis had secretly amassed dozens of these drones from a hidden stockpile, and they were now heading directly towards the task force. How will the Truman Strike Group fare against this swarm? Can existing defenses adapt to this evolving threat? This is Goba Military. Subscribe for more real-time battlefield breakdowns and tactical deep dives.